This lesson is on Science and Technology Policy. Science and Technology Policy, or S&T, is one of the primary policies that generates appropriate funding to advance scientific and technological research and education in the country. It further involves the conduct of studies of the impact of science and technology on citizens' lives and is the same policy that would regulate the use of technological outcome. S&T aims to foster cooperation between the private sector, education, and the government. The three can produce people who are oriented to progressive technology and the use of such technology. S&T scholars must obtain quality education to participate in the competitive workforce. The hiring of excellent engineers and scientists within and across local companies have a big implication on the steady growth of technological innovation in the country. Two more things about the policy. It is a statement of intent and protocol. It should have an intended effect and unintended effect. The latter is not planned, yet institutions are not blind about it. For instance, the use of nuclear energy is intended for a stable base load of energy. However, the unintended effect is the impact of nuclear wastes, and that it is hard to dispose this waste. Still, nations use this type of nuclear technology, but within controlled and legislated guidelines. Some destructive technologies are even hard to let go, especially if in the right circumstances they have already contributed more and have enabled humanity to do more. The previous lessons on the local scenes in the deployment of technology and its development within the country focus on a new space department under the DOST, and a revisit on local innovators also had sparked our interest and aspirations on the future of our technology, with the basic skeleton for framing the advancement, such as the policy to develop and sustain a national scientific and technological capacity embedded in three Republic Acts, Republic Act number 10844, 10055, and 9513. It is found on page 78 of your book. With these in place, our government and people are assured of the tackling of technology for a better commitment to national development. There are many issues that came out from the featured interview and documentary, such as insufficient budget or annual budget of the DOST, many departments and bureaucratic arrangements, lacking of scientists, and the communication of technology to sectors are impeded by a lot of constraints. In our book on page 79, the 5 actionable developments are mentioned, which echo some of the realizations that we got from the film, from the documentary. Hence, increasing the annual budget of DOST, prioritizing research, mandatory budget allocation to research and development for all government agencies, increased hiring of science and technological professionals in government, and creating centers of various specialized science and technology disciplines all over the country, and guaranteed annual budgets. It means the government is already aware and cognizant of the issues arising in the implementation of science and technology policy. There's a twofold goal that we need to drive furthermore to gain more in technology. The terms are financial incentive and non-financial incentives. Let's start with financial incentives first. Financial incentives, along with the non financial, back up our science and technology policies. The financial incentives can be in the form of tax credits, subsidies, and grants, while the non financial incentives can be in the form of infrastructure investments, education, technical assistance, and awards or recognition programs. Currently, as demonstrated in the two documentaries we've watched, the country is trying its best to balance financial and non financial incentives. However, these two have their own disadvantages. To name a few, the financial incentives would require government to spend even more, and the spending may be politically influenced and not always cost effective. On the other hand, the non-financial incentives can be hard to deliver because of the technical capacity required, and the benefits may be limited or without complementary financial incentives. Otherwise, in an ideal setup, the two incentive systems may enable a state to target high-end technology and may address other market issues and competitiveness. The common rule of thumb for developing countries is the bandwagon. It is important for such countries as the Philippines to have resources and linkages with technologically advanced nations and encourage these nations to share these advanced technologies with us, both in terms of end use and supply. But oftentimes, businesses are not a charity work and would always adhere to the market value. Without subsidizing the cost for operating a superior technology at low cost access, the technology will go unused. This is why complex technology that has a great potential to solve socio-civic problems can hardly gain traction in communities. The Philippines has currently been pushed back by problems in terms of political stability and the ease of starting a business, according to Philippine Institute of Development Studies or PIDS. The report suggests that the country's weakness in institution is also manifested in weakness of human capital and research index, as we see in scarce expenditure on education, student-teacher ratio, global research and development companies expenditure. But contrary to these findings of PIDS, the business world, on the other hand, in 2018 recorded a strength of our country in terms of science and engineering graduates, as well as knowledge diffusion, productivity growth, and high-tech manufacturing. The opportunity to work in state projects like the Build, Build, Build program also marked the return of the competitive demand for engineers to work in the Metro Manila and in the Visayas and Mindanao regions for DPWH projects. This sounds like a good reason for overseas Filipino engineers to come back home. The role of the private and socio-civic sectors, including the church, is nothing short of paramount in the realization of our policy, since they are close to the community they are serving, and the capability of overseeing is high. Some sectors started as a parochial project headed by able community members. For instance, the Buklod Tao. The goal of this organization is to enhance the capacity of people to respond to disaster and care for the environment. They had consultation with professionals plus a combination of local knowledge on livelihood, which is supported by the government. Not all community members are professionals. That is why they need help from training institutions to develop eco-friendly practices, install or develop disaster preparedness infrastructure, and to invest in more potential livelihood projects that can both help the environment and earn income for the community. Further, Buklod Tao partnered with big universities such as De La Salle, University of the Philippines, Ateneo University, and regional sources or resource centers such as Center for Disaster Preparedness and etc. Community organization is an opportunity for scientists and practitioners to contribute to the society. The Angat Kabataan, a socio-civic organization in Taytay Rizal, is also promising in its green effort to clean river creeks using ancient horticulture technology called bokashi balls. Green chemists can contribute in river cleanup by helping the community test rivers for chemical pollutants and find a way to remove toxic elements from the water. Environmental biologists may work with communities to help determine plants that can filter bacteria or wastes in the river water. The Buklod Tao and the Angat Kabataan is just one of the many successful ventures into socio-civic development programs using technology. The Philippines may well be within the agenda of safe and disaster resilience in the community if thus these civic organizations multiply. They are the model for sustainable development, at least at the community level. There are no huge infrastructure and sophisticated technology involved, but the establishment of the triad, education, private sector, and government cooperation, is clear, and the outcomes match one of the S&Ts of our country: the utilization of science and technology in community-based organization.